English News Edition. Here are the top stories. The fight goes on, so does demobilization. In international news, sub-Saharan African economy is hit hard by coronavirus. Hello, welcome again, and welcome to our newsroom for having the news in details. The Secretary General of the Health Minister, Dr. Salah Benoit Trab, has made his statement this Friday, April 17. The data of COVID-19 in our country are follows, and I quote, 1,056 tests were performed, 141 positive at COVID-19, all of them contaminated. 655 patients are currently undergoing treatment in the management center. 3% cured. Analysis of epidemiological data indicates a positive balance, which shows that we are still in the ascending phase of the COVID-19 epidemic. The situation is getting worse. We have more and more direct contact contamination, and this also proves that some groups of people are taking the barrier measures advocated by the health minister and the government lightly. On the other hand, we note that after a month's decline, COVID-19 positive cases are asymptomatic or with a few clinical signs. Finally, the case report of the COVID-19 Djibouti pandemic declined as follows. 7,486 tests were performed, 732 cases positive for COVID-19, 76 patients cured, and 2 unfortunately deaths. Please follow all the barrier measures and stay home. The Minister of Health, Mr. Mohamed Warsa Mediri, shared yesterday an important working meeting with the members of the Monitoring and Coordination Committee for the response to COVID-19. This meeting focused on the preparation and validation of the coronavirus control program with funding from the World Bank to the tune of $5 million. This new program aimed to support the national response plan against COVID-19 through the deployment of a reinforced and adequate strategy to contain and eradicate the spread of the virus in the national territory. The Minister of Health, Mr. Mohamed Warsa Mediri, called on his colleagues to redouble their effort to enhance the screening and management of COVID-19 cases in Djibouti. The use of these funds will make it possible, among other things, to obtain sufficient supplies of medical equipment, medicines, and reagents to effectively combat the COVID-19 pandemic. And now the wave of solidarity initiated by the Djibouti's number one to effectively combat the COVID-19 pandemic continues. Indeed, it was the turn yesterday in the studios of the RTD, the Ministry of Equipment and Transport, and the company RTD to make a substantial donation to this noble cause. These two institutions respectively donated to the sum of 5,864,000 and 3,500,000. The funds collected so far will be used for the acquisition of new equipment to be able to help to assist people affected by this virus and also to protect the Djiboutian population in this time of crisis. Moving now on the international news, the COVID-19 pandemic threatens the already fragile economies of the sub-Saharan Africa. Although it is still little affected in terms of health, the continent is still largely dependent on economic partners from other continents. Millions of jobs threatened, recession, falling growth. Even if sub-Saharan Africa is still little affected in terms of health, the continent, already fragile, will suffer the full economic consequences of the coronavirus pandemic. African economies are suffering from the sharp drop in growth of their main trading partners, particularly China, the Eurozone, and the United States. Falling commodity prices, a decline in tourism, and the effect of pandemic control measures such as containment, the World Bank analysis. For the first time in 25 years, sub-Saharan Africa will indeed experience an economic recession, the World Bank predicts. After growth of 2.4% in 2019, the recession is expected to be between 2.1% and minus 5.1% in 2020. The African Development Bank, AFDB, is less pessimistic, forecasting a recession of between minus 0.7% and minus 2.8%. According to the African Union, Nearly 20 million jobs, both in the formal and informal sectors, are threatened with destruction. For the UN, this number could be as high as 50 million. Unemployment and economic slowdown are also affecting African workers in this diaspora, and their remittances, often vital to their countries of origin, are collapsing. This is it for this edition of 9 p.m. Thank you for watching us and have a wonderful night.